We are on the West Bank now, Terry.
Yes, we are on the West Bank. We're on the other side of the wall. And it took us half an hour to reach the other side of the wall. So we were standing just behind this wall half an hour ago. So you see at night there is not one light even, not one light when you're going up. It's like walking in the middle of a cemetery. Probably in the cemetery there are some lights, but not here next to the wall. You know, instead of one step into my neighbor's house, now it will take me half an hour. And still I feel I'm lucky, I'm able to do it, because very soon they will prevent me from going to the West Bank area. Just like they did with Bethlehem. They officially announced Jerusalemites are not allowed to go to Bethlehem. It's another state by itself. And so my school area will be a state by itself. I won't be able very soon to enter it. And school still is something, okay, you can tolerate, but what about my children? My children are, you know, registered as Jerusalem residents like me. So at one point, they won't be able even to see their father. And that's what's driving me crazy. I can't imagine the day when my children won't be able to see their father. Because we are not allowed to go into the West Bank. I don't know. Anyway. Do you want to drink something? I can ask the neighbors to drink something. Water, anything.
We have a little.
Oh, there are already some cameras. I didn't see that. Wow, that's new. Already a camera. In 2004, it was in May, the army raided the hotel after the family refused to give it up and to sell it for any amount that we wanted, because they brought us empty checks, you know, saying any amount, and we said this is not for sale. They said, okay, then we will confiscate it as on security basis, and that's what they did. First of all, they shifted the borderline between Jerusalem and the West Bank, which is both sides are occupied territories. So what they did, they shifted the borderline of Jerusalem that the Israelis imposed in '67, which is exactly where the wall is standing. And if you continue straight, it will not take the hotel. The hotel should stay in the West Bank. And that's how it was treated for the last 38 years. But with the construction of the wall and the new plan for a settlement behind, the hotel was to be sacrificed. They shifted the borderline, they included it into the Jerusalem territory. The property status was changed, but not the owner's status. The owners were kept with West Bank ID cards, and accordingly the Israeli army forged an appeal to the Israeli courts saying this is absentee property. As long as the property is Jerusalem and the owners are West Bank from another country, supposedly, they tried to take it. We hired a very good Israeli lawyer, Shlomo Leker, and we brought the press and the media, you know, to tell them the facts on the ground, what the Israelis are doing, you know, the way they are stealing our property and changing our lives. And so the army, I think they were very much embarrassed, and at the end they said, okay, we're not taking it as absentee, we'll take it for security, which is the magic word they keep using. And that's how it is standing now. It's still, the case is still pending in the court. Based on security, they took over the hotel. It was under a quick renovation process. So the army, the moment they entered, they destroyed all the new aluminum windows. They they paved a road for the settlement to be without taking our permission. Can you imagine? This is the hotel I even married in. This is the hotel where all the weddings of the village were taking place. It was the most beautiful neighborhood of the village. A very beautiful residential area, calm. At night, this is all a family neighborhood. We all know each other, cousins and relatives. We would sit here with children playing on bicycles and football, whatever, and we will be, just doing hubbly bubbly and talking with each other. And overnight, the military moved in. It became a military base, and even throwing the garbage was to be searched before it is thrown into the tank. The children had to open the garbage and to throw it and to search it in front of the army before they throw it. Anyway, that's the daily realities for us. We don't want to keep talking about garbage because everything stinks in this area. So what the army did is that they paved the road. There was no road. This was all one area for the hotel. So they paved the road in the middle of our land, fencing off areas that they want. And as you see, they say in Arabic, this is only allowed for the security forces cars. So our own land, we can't even walk on it. We used to sometimes escape to Abu Dis from this entrance here, from behind. Now it's all fenced, and there's a camera that is put on top of the hotel that is monitoring the movement of all the neighbors around. I was, living in that house, and the camera would be just directly into the kitchen while I'm, doing the dishes and going into the toilet. It was a scene, by the way. So this is also the parliamentary building that has never been finished. We don't know. This was to be as a mark of a peace treaty, working peace treaty, that the parliament is built on the edges of Jerusalem city within the suburbs of Abu Dis. And as you see, it's been, standing still like this for the last 4 or 5 years. I don't know what will happen. And we were so hopeful in the family that, okay, parliamentarians will be coming to the area, our hotel will be working well. All went the other direction. It's not just the hotel was frozen, it's even our lives that got frozen at one point. Now we're starting to see the settlement. This is the beginning of the settlement to be. They gave it in the name of Kidmat Zion, which is a very religious name. And it is to absorb around 250 housing units, which means nothing less than 15,000 new settlers. The settlers who moved here are members of the fanatic ideological settlement movement called Gush Imunim. So those are the new neighbors that we have, the fanatic ideological settlers. And you can see that they have not just the army to protect them and to enslave them, but also they have special guarding agents that are sitting on top of their house. So we see sometimes when the women are getting down to throw the garbage, she has a bodyguard in front and the bodyguard behind. When the women and their children are moving out of the neighborhood, there is a bodyguard car in front and the bodyguard out behind. And those bodyguards, by the way, are not paid by the government. They are paid by my taxes as a taxpayer, because these are private security companies that are, paid by my taxes for special requests based on security needs. And of course the security needs are not to protect me as a taxpayer, but to protect the illegal settlers that are moving on my land against my will. And that's the controversial reality that we here live in. Because these are not only the lands that were confiscated. Behind the mountain you have a vast majority of lands that are owned by Abu Dis overnight were announced as confiscated areas for security reason. And they won't allow me to move around because at one point I'm sure the security will follow me. But I wish I could take you, like you see the wall zigzagging in and out. Palestinians out, Israelis and empty land in order to grab all that empty lands for the expansion of a settlement to be. Now, this is the third settlement in the middle of this Palestinian neighborhood of East Jerusalem. Those three settlements will break the Palestinian contiguity between Abu Dis and Zawahri, which is a historic contiguity, historic connection. It will also be part of a bigger Israeli settler plan, Jewish settlers plan, that is based on what we call, or they call, the Holy Basin, which starts from north of Jerusalem and reaches here. According to their belief, those ideological settlers, is that within that holy basin that goes through, of course, the old city and the Al-Haram, the Dome of the Rock area, this holy basin is the area where supposedly the demolished temple was. So they expand their area, because somewhere in this holy basin area the temple was there, and they want to bring back the Jewish existence and the Jewish majority within that holy basin. That includes, of course, as I said, the old city and the Haram al-Sharif and our residential areas that we have existed on for thousands of years. Overnight, they don't care about that. That's the small plan within Jerusalem. Now, the bigger picture of Jerusalem that the Israeli municipality is not even hiding is the issue of metropolitan Jerusalem, the master plan 2020 for the metropolitan of Jerusalem, where if you follow the route of the wall, it is bringing Palestinian neighborhoods out and bringing illegal Israeli settlements in to the metropolitan of Jerusalem. For example, Abu Dis, you see how Abu Dis is adjacent to Jerusalem. It's like within walking distance, 5 minutes walking distance, you're in Jerusalem. This is Jerusalem. Internationally, historically, this is Jerusalem. But Abu Dis, with its population, concentrated Palestinian population, is out of the master plan for Jerusalem, whereas Ma'ali Adumim settlement that is built on Abu Dis land, like 5 kilometers from here, is into the master plan of Jerusalem because of their Jewish majority or their Jewish existence. The same thing for Bethlehem area. Bethlehem, the city of Jesus, is out of Jerusalem, metropolitan, although it's 12 kilometers drive. It's like 12 minutes drive literally between center Jerusalem and center Bethlehem. But because it's concentrated Palestinian area, it is out of the metropolitan of Jerusalem. But Gush Etzion blocks, settlement blocks that are 20 kilometers away from Jerusalem are within the metropolitan of Jerusalem because of their Jewish population. So the metropolitan of Jerusalem is so clear, racist, apartheid, whatever you want to call it. Jews in, Palestinians out. So this is the bigger picture, and the internal picture is with the Israeli Jewish fanatics that we have to deal in. So you have fanatics on the ground, you have fanatics at decision-making level. You tell me what is the way out.